us through colonialism and have our own reflections and opinion about it. So what comes to mind first and foremost is that, so how do Africans also conceptualize their sense of person? So we want to look at the African perspective or at the African perspective of personhood. So the research finding, one, is that what is the difference between individual and person within the indigenous African context? Like I already said, in Africa, to say someone is an individual simply means that the person has biological makeups, that is rationality, will, talent, and abilities to make choices. But that is not enough, because Africans do not place emphasis on the individual, rather place emphasis on the person, which is that a human being with biological features such as rationality, will, talent, capacity to make choices, and the exhibition of maturity in the form of respect and concern for others. So it's not enough to be a human being in the African context. Your existence must come along with showing moral maturity, such as concern for each other, respecting the old or the elderly, as well as a sense of reciprocity. So there's this adage we have in an account that your parents took care of you to grow your teeth. You have to take care of them as they lose their teeth. That's the sign of reciprocity. So research question 2 is that I intended to look at what makes happy a human being in the African context. And what I did was that I stretched my hands to the African community of Ghana, because they are the majority in Ghana, and so it's only proper that to understand a certain concept, I will have to stretch my hands to that ethnic group. So according to the accounts, the human being is made up of moja, which is the blood, and that is coming from the mother. Uturu, which is spirit, which is coming from the father, and then okra, which is from God. So these are the components or what makes up a human being. This is quite distinct from the dualist position, or if you like, the position that was articulated by the French philosopher René Descartes, where he thinks that the human being is made up of the spirit and the body. And so it is the coming together of these things that makes us be human beings. But there have been serious problems concerning that theory, particularly when he says that the spirit can exist on its own because the substance, the body can exist on its own. Yet it's very difficult to see a spirit existing on its own. Again, too, there's no psychophysical law that explains that there's a kind of interaction between the body and the spirit. So it's quite difficult to understand why René Descartes wants us to accept such a position. And the truth is that concept does not also do any well or do any better with this problem. In fact, it's also confronted by the same issue, because the account positioning does not tell us at the point at which the okra that is coming from God enters the woman or the child to be brought forth. Because what it makes clear is that it is the soul in us that defines that indeed we are a human being, and the evidence that we have the soul is that we have movement, which is breath. So the departure of breath or your inability to breathe tells that then your soul has gone to its maker. But it doesn't tell us when, at which point that the soul enters into the body. So it also runs into the same problem that the Cartesian dualism postulated by René Descartes also runs into. But coming to monotheistic materialism disentangles itself from that assertion. And then with him, God is trying to make very clear to us that the human being, in fact, that which is real is matter. That which is real is matter. But matter can manifest itself in other forms. So at the beginning of the childbirth, and particularly during sexual intercourse, Nkrumah is drawing our attention to the fact that it's the semen from which we can get the sum, from which we can get the soul, from which we can get the breath. In other words, the material part of our life can also come in different forms, such as spirit. So he's not confronted with the problem of how can the spirit interact. Rather, what he says is that the body can manifest itself in different forms. It explains why Africans believe in reincarnation, necromancy, and other beliefs that might be alien to Western culture. So my research question today is, what happens to the individual when he feels an attainment of personhood? What happens to the individual is that basically he's not able to achieve personhood because he's not showing signs of reciprocity, respect, and the others. Let's believe that he's not able to do that because the spirit has come into contact with an evil spirit. So to to allow the person to attain personhood, then there's a certain ritual that the individual is going to go through. Again, I'm taking all these things from the African concepts. So Buzia informs us that in the performance of rituals to enable someone to attain personhood, the individual is going to stand on the broom. The significance of that is what the Guru has told us. That because the broom is material and the spirit is another form of matter, it's only logical that then the broom stands for cleanse the spirit to take off the evil spirit so that the individual can be able to achieve a sense of personhood. The significance of the study is that indeed, students who are interested in Menkiti's communitarianism idea will find this work very interesting and then will have a lot to do with. And also, African people concern itself with the implementation of past and existing continental initiative for growth and sustainable development. We find this study as a reference material to share ideas about how to improve the relationship between the individual on the continent of Africa as well as the African community as a whole. For the purpose of time, the conclusion is that despite the stance of these theses, that is, I pointed out that Menkiti doesn't tell us what happens to an individual. It's a letter contribution to the debate on communitarianism cannot be dismissed. Indeed, Menkiti clearly advances the idea of personhood. In doing this, it draws our attention to the fact that community confers personhood on the individual by the exhibition of moral maturity such as reciprocity, concern for each other, among others. The primary aim of indigenous African society is to secure the survival of the community made up of individuals. Indeed, the indigenous African communities are able to secure the life of its members by placing emphasis on cooperation, interdependency, and collective responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we continue, let me make it sometimes my mind is see. In case, when we close, I just want to announce where you can get to. Let us go out the lobby before you get out. Left and left, you find President Corner. That is a nice place. We are designated where you can go get your meal. The rate is very moderate, very, very affordable. Very good. We're going to have, where are we? We are closing here. Right. So we have a piece of paper. Represented Angela talked about giving us insight into those cultural practices.
Move out. Move out of here.
I think they've already started. They're using my using my machine.
Is that your machine? I use this name.
Yes,
He's from somewhere. He uses you. You can leave.
Then Emmanuel.
I can only move you to another book.
Okay.
Okay, I can move you to this section.
We talk about geography of the body absences and the photograph about activity. And finally, Amartey has talked about indigenous African communitarianism and then how Africa perceives itself.
Are you here?
And the communities in African sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to open the floor for suggestions, questions,
You have to reflect.
arguments, and so on. So you just put up your hand. I think the other mic will go around. I don't know. Please, you take this mic. Please. And for those who are
unsaid. Okay, unsaid. I think you have to move yourself. Yes, what?
So there's a hand in the back. If you look out for it, because we can't see you. We only saw a hand raising hand.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Amartey Jr.
Are we supposed to
My
break?
questions, there are two.
You go to the
I'll
first
do it, then I'll
for
go
the
out.
presenter.
So please
Angela,
continue.
yeah. Please, could we have the speakers and for those who are here, please? So they can just we are ready here.
The first speaker is Angela is yeah.
Needed administration.
That's all. Let me finish this session.
You have
The
only one
moderator
person.
here is saying,
And my question
thank you.
is one will be that because we are far behind schedule. There are people on Zoom who have been sitting there a long time. So we can't give them the whole time. So please, I'm going your question very brief. Thank you. So can I go? Yes. Okay, and the format of presentation or presentation of the paper, she made mention of the fact that, or she recommended that there should be a reintroduction or reinforcement of some of the poverty rights which were performed in the past. So I want her to reconcile because there is these human rights proponents or proponents of feminism who are advocating that it is a human rights abuse among some of the practices. For example, when you go to South Africa, among the Zulus, they have what they call virginity
I will
testing.
never
And
work
then
with this university again. This guy is.
And so I want her
As I'm
to
telling you,
reconcile
you can't have like a
those against
sit down
the
and
reintroduction
realize
or reinforcement of the poverty
But
rights.
you're already.
Any other?
And my point to him was that he's telling me how, oh,
And then for sexuality for men, it starts very early. It's also very new. For men. And that is good. Apart from the fact that it's hygiene, apart from the fact that it's healthy, apart from the fact it's also good for men. So I would like to add.
Thank you very much, sister. Any other? Then otherwise we'll let final one. Okay, final one.
Okay, so I want to ask Amartey if personhood could also be attained through education, since all of them are talking about blood.
Thank you. Right,
Thank you very much. I didn't quite hear his name. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Ward. So, with what I'm talking about, I only presented the kind of practices that are healthy and progressive. And I did mention that we actually have some practices that enforce violence, okay? So that abuse against women and men in some circumstances. I don't support those practices. Like I mentioned, female genital mutilation. I don't support it. What I support, the practice, the sexual practices that we have that are actually progressive. And I mentioned a few in my presentation to do with the erotic dances and movements, to do with the erotic tattooing, to do with wearing of waist-bead, centered with aphrodisiacs and all of that. I didn't mention what we're talking about women, all the abusive things that women had to go through in the name of puberty rights. I hope you have your question answered. Yeah.
Florence, you asked if education can also be a component of personhood. And the answer is in the affirmative, that is yes, because education will tell you that for you to be a person, you need to exhibit some level of moral maturity, which comes in the form of respect, reciprocity. And the education is that which tells you these things. So it comes in the form of education. But the other education that you have should better the human race. So in bettering the human race, you exhibit it in the form of reciprocity, respect, and consent for each other. Yeah.
Thank you very much.